Hello, everybody, and welcome to the first episode of the first season of Not Your Average Gold Digger with yours truly, Dr. Marion McNabb. I am super excited to kick off this YouTube channel and series where we will dive in to the exciting world of gold prospecting and gold panning in the wild and in the real world. So this channel is going to be set up as an educational channel for the average recreational gold prospector, somebody that is just interested in gold, interested in going out in nature, setting up a new hobby, getting some exercise, quitting their exercise membership at the gym, and deciding to go out in nature instead. So you can join me on a series of adventures, and also we're going to be structured around a learning curriculum. So every episode that I come out with over the next couple of seasons will be all new content. We'll be learning a variety of things, from learning how to find gold, learning how to prospect for gold in the wild. We'll go on nature adventures, and then we're also going to learn the geology of gold. How did this all form, and where do we find gold? How does it settle out in rivers and streams? Well, it's going to be an exciting ride, and I'm super excited to get started here today. Coming at you from Asheville, North Carolina. I will be doing all of these videos prospecting from Western North Carolina. It's February 2025. My name is Dr. Marion McNabb. My background is actually in public health. I'm a public health doctor and a researcher, and spent the majority of my career working on infectious diseases and chronic diseases. But I've always had a love of gemstones and geology. And so now I'm excited to dig in with my new YouTube series, Not Your Average Gold Digger, with yours truly, Dr. Marion McNabb. All right, so let's kick it off today. What we're going to talk about today is what is gold prospecting for the recreational gold prospector, for people, average people like you and me, anybody that wants to just get out there. These videos are not going to be for mining companies. I'm going to be focused on strategies and techniques for the regular person to go out and find gold in their backyard, in their local streams, but make sure they know the laws and they do it with permission. So if you're that kind of person, you should hit that like and subscribe button, because we're going on a journey. This is my first season. We're going to have 6 episodes a season, and this is my winter season. So what we're going to do, because I'm an academic, I've been a researcher and an instructor for about 20 years now, we're going to get started with the basics. We're going to understand, before we even get out on the creek, we're going to understand what is gold prospecting, what is gold mining, what is placer gold mining, how do you find gold, where does it come from, and then we're also going to study some maps, and we're going to also then practice our panning, and we're going to do all of this before we ever get out on the creek. You know why? Because being out on the creek, we want to save our valuable time to collect our material, to concentrate it, and bring that concentrate back to be able to pan it out and see if we found gold. So we want to spend our time on the creek with the most efficient use of our time as possible. We can prep at home, we can collect our gold concentrate and at the creek, and then we can bring it home and pan it out. So we're going to get started on the first part of this season with just the basics, okay? Now, today, we're going to start with what simply is placer gold mining. Well, placer gold mining is gold that is found in sediment that is eroded from mountains and places where gold has deposited, typically in quartz veins in mountains. So placer gold basically means gold that has been eroded from a mountain and a quartz vein and has deposited itself into a stream or a creek or a river or some type of body of water. Now, the thing that is important to know is that placer mining, you can find gold within the stream, you can find gold in the banks of the stream, but then you can also find gold in the floodlines and old banks of a stream and a creek. And that may be in drier areas. So while you can go directly to the river, find mud, you can also go out and find silt and other, rocks and sediment and raw materials that may have been a previous flood line where gold may have been deposited. So just simply the basics. I'm coming at you from North Carolina, so I'm going to focus on North Carolina and our neck of the woods when I talk about gold mining. And I'm also going to give you gold prospecting, not focused on mining. And I'm also going to preface all of these videos with I am, one, not your average gold digger, but two, I'm also an amateur. So these videos, you're going to follow along with me as I'm learning. So we're going to learn together. So if you have comments or you have ideas, please put them in the chat. I'll try to respond. I'll try to incorporate new ideas in these videos. And we'll keep releasing new content as we go. So please feel free to engage. Not your average gold digger. We want this to be interactive. Okay. So basically, placer gold is gold that will be eroded out of a mountain. Gold usually sits in quartz veins, and I'll do a video exactly about the geology behind how the gold actually gets to the quartz veins in the mountains. But think about this. It erodes over time, and it falls down the mountain, and it moves into the stream, and it's moved by water and natural erosion. This is the most type of accessible gold for amateur recreational prospectors, and so that's why I'm going to focus on, placer mining for my videos. Placer prospecting, and placer mining. We're not going to go dig into the ground, but I might find some people who do that and interview them as part of one of my episodes. So now, how does gold really get out of that mountain, out of the quartz veins, erode and fall into the rivers? Well, one of the most important things that it's extremely important to understand is that gold is extremely dense. It's 19 times heavier than water. So you'll always find it sitting at the bottom, close to bedrock, close to sediment, close to other things like lead, nails, garnets, any kind of gemstones that are extraordinarily heavy. Gold will be sitting there. Now, this is the number one key thing to know, because then as you understand how water moves and water flows and at different velocities, you can understand that gold being very dense, how it would move with that water and at what terrain, and how it will end up falling out into what we're going to find, which is a gold pay streak. Now, you'll typically find gold, again, sitting out, and it'll end up, when it gets pushed out of the rock, it'll end up in curves and bends because it's heavy. And in rivers and streams and creeks, it'll act like a natural sluice box. I'll cover what a sluice box is in one of our future videos. Stay tuned. Now, it really wants to drop out of that water really quickly. It just doesn't want to stay in water, and it's really, really dense. So understanding the physics of how water moves and how gold will want to sit out, and how gold and the movement of water would create a pay streak, which means a movement of gold where you can find it in a consistent pattern in one spot. That's going to be important for us to know. So we're going to go into the physics of that in future videos as well. So stay tuned, hit that like and subscribe button. We're going to dig into this. Now, why is gold important to prospect as a recreational gold panner? Well, you know what? Modern day prospecting is coming back, and gold, the value of modern day gold is rising and rising. So if you can go out there and get it, hobbyists and small-scale miners and prospectors like myself, well, we're sure to find success if we follow the rules, follow the laws, and really understand where to find gold. That's the art. Not everybody can find gold. You have to understand where it would fall out. But for me, I'm doing this as a fun recreational hobby. It's going to get me some good exercise. And, it may give me some money along the way, and that doesn't hurt for a new hobby that gets me fit and out in the creek. So, in future videos, we're going to talk about the basic tools that we need to do gold panning and gold prospecting. It is really not an expensive hobby to start out with. There are some more advanced tools that we'll look into in future episodes, such as a sluice box, a metal detector, dredges. But really, in our next video, we're going to talk about the budget-friendly basics that you need to start out with gold prospecting as a recreational, not a commercial, gold prospector. All right, so what can you expect for the rest of this season? Well, we're going to have 6 episodes in our winter season here in 2025. We're starting off here today. Thanks for joining me on what is placer gold mining and what are we going to get into with Not Your Average Gold Digger with yours truly, Dr. Marion McNabb. Well, we're going to first cover the history of gold in North Carolina. Where do we find it? Where are the maps? How do we look for it? Where do we locate it? Where were the mines in the past? Then we're going to look at how do we read a map, a geological map for gold? How do we understand the different gemstones and the different rock formations and where gold's been found in the past and where can we find it next? We're going to actually talk about the impact of Hurricane Helene recently and how that has impacted gold placer mining in North Carolina. We're going to cover the basics of gold panning. So how do you actually go from that concentrate that we find in the creek down to the black sand and then down to actually getting the gold and seeing those sparks. And then we're going to really dig down into the river. Once we learn those basics, once we learn panning, once we learn how to find gold in a river, once we learn where gold's been found, once we know how the tools we need, once we practice a little bit of gold panning with some experts, then we're going to hit the creek. So thanks for tuning in. If you like what you see so far, check out my next video in season 1 of Not Your Average Gold Digger with Dr. Marion McNabb. Thanks for tuning in.